validate his own anti-government rhetoric by mentioning student loans. But here he is talking about Medicare. Take a listen to this.
It pays for the care my mother receives right now. I would never support any changes to Medicare that would hurt seniors like my mother. But anyone who's in favor of leaving Medicare exactly the way it is right now is in favor of bankrupting it.
You know, Angela, I have to say, for something so evil and tyrannical, the government has sure done a lot to help Marco Rubio and his family, isn't it?
I think that's exactly right. I think when you look at Marco Rubio, he is the perfect picture of the modern-day American dream. He's a 41-year-old Cuban-American that speaks to the story of immigration like nobody's business. But at the same time, you have someone who talks about benefiting from student loans and federal financial aid programs, his mother and his father benefiting from Medicare, and then he goes on this rant about more government. And I'm still trying to figure out where he got that from. The president certainly didn't discuss this massive expansion of government last night, so I'm trying to figure out where's Marco Rubio getting his facts. Maybe from Poland Springs, I'm not quite sure about that. But at the same time, I will say, you know, we have to do a lot more about, you know, spitting out these talking points that we know are going to poll well with the American people. At the end of the day, our anecdotal stories, our experiences in life have to align at some point with the policies that we support. So he's had this story that was phenomenal, but it wasn't in alignment at all with the Republican messaging that he was spewing. It was more of the same with a brand new story, and that at some point is going to come to a crashing burn for them.
Yeah, and maybe that was what burned him, Crystal. It was a Super Tuesday for Marco, though, because it wasn't his speech that was so utterly embarrassing for the Republican Party. It was the fact that just before he took a vote and voted against the Violence Against Women Act. Now, again, I have to ask you, what's in his mind for him to choose not to support the reenactment of that?
The only thing that I can come up with is that it is some sort of purely political consideration where he is trying to position himself as far to the right in a potential Republican primary as possible. But at bottom, it is absolutely shameful. And you will note that of the 22 senators who voted against the Violence Against Women Act, they were all men. Every woman, every female senator, regardless of her party, voted to pass the Violence Against Women Act because they knew how critical this legislation is, and it's not been controversial in the almost 20 years since it was initially passed and written by Joe Biden.
Angela, we've heard so much about the facelift that Republicans are giving their party. Senator Rubio, as you know, is part of that, but so too is Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. He gave the Tea Party response last night. Take a listen to Mr. Paul.
Big government's not your friend. The president offers you free stuff, but his policies keep you poor.
Angela, the president's spokesman, Jay Carney, said that Rubio's speech last night could have been delivered by Mitt Romney. But that one sounds as though it was actually written by Mitt Romney, doesn't it? I mean, free stuff again?
Right. I don't know about these gifts. I'm still looking for my gifts from next
What is
gen.
he
If you
talking
find them
about?
funny, Martin, let me know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think what we hear are people who genuinely are speaking to their base, regardless of facts. These are fact-free conversations that aren't going anywhere. At some point, PolitiFact or somebody's got to hold these folks responsible for the words that they speak. It's totally preposterous. The president came out yesterday with some amazing suggestions, whether it's pre-K or rebuilding and strengthening infrastructure so that business could come back here. These are things that, had you changed the party of the deliverer last night, Republicans would have been given standing ovations. It just doesn't make any sense that these folks continue, again, with this rhetoric that is without any type of facts.
Okay, well, Crystal, I want to give you another flourish from Mr. Marco Rubio. Here he is. Take a listen.
On the climate change, look, the government can't change the weather. I said that in the speech.
Now, he says, you know, the government can't change the weather. What about the overwhelming verdict of science that the president himself mentioned? What about the National Academy of Sciences, which found that 98% of academic researchers agreed that man-made climate change is occurring?
That's exactly right. And the Republican Party, if they are going to be a modern party, if they're going to stop, in the words of Bobby Jindal, being the stupid party, they're going to have to embrace science and embrace some sort of role of government in trying to address climate change. You know, as I'm listening to Rubio and Rand Paul's speeches, you were talking about the parallels with Mitt Romney. I think the difference is Rubio's speech sounded like the stump speech Mitt Romney would have given, and Rand Paul's speech sounded like the speech he would have given to the donors behind closed doors that was surreptitiously recorded. I mean, very much exactly the sort of rhetoric and the sort of positioning that won them 47% of the vote.
Yeah, absolutely right. Angela, Ryan, Crystal Ball, thank you both so much.
Thanks, Martin.
Coming up, Ted Nugent loses it. Just really loses it. Stay with us.
Let's get it right here on MSNBC.